Today, I want to talk about the importance of God and how having God can be a form of power and strength for you during times of difficulty. If you look in the past, people have always gone through problems. Life has been even more difficult for people in the past. We have it a lot more easier. And when we wonder how did they deal with life, there was no such thing as therapy. There was no such thing as personal development and all of these things that we go to nowadays. So without therapy, how did people deal with war? How did people deal with poverty? How did people deal with the level of uncertainty that came with life? And I think one thing that people in the past had, which we don't have, is the concept of God. In the past, people believed in some form of a creator or God. And obviously now it's more common for people to not believe in anything, not believe in a God. And what does believing God give to us as human beings? Believing in God is like having a parent as an adult. When you're a child, you depend on your parents completely without any concern or worry or anxiety about their role as your protector and provider. You know they're going to provide for you. You know that you're going to get fed. You don't need to worry about anything. That all that worry and concern is on the parents, and that allows you to live carefree. That allows you to live and enjoy life, and that is what believing God allows us to do. We will have worries and we will have problems that we need to deal with, but having God allows us to give some of that worry and responsibility of our needs being met by God. It's impossible for us to meet every one of our needs. We can't do that. We can meet some of our needs and we can ask other people to meet some of our needs, but there are some needs that will not be met. And so we have this empty cup. And when you believe in God, you give over that responsibility to take care of everything. You give that burden to God. So it allows you to walk more carefree. It allows you to live a little more. It allows you to worry less. It allows you to not live in the world with high level anxiety. So that is the first benefit and advantage of believing in God. It's like you have a parent. Even as an adult, you have someone who's taking care of you. You have someone who's going to provide for you. The provision is made by God and you rely on Him to complete your needs. The second benefit of believing in God is having a protector. Human beings cannot always protect you. Human beings cannot always be there for you. And as women have a greater need for protection. And so when you have God in your life, you allow God to be your protector. And human beings are, although they can be in a sense powerful, they are not completely powerful. They might have power, but they are not powerful. They might control us in some aspects, or they might exert that control, but they are not powerful. And so we go to the source of all power, and that is God. God controls the world. God controls what happens to us. God controls the good and the bad. And so we go to the source of all power, and we allow the source of, and we get our power directly from the source of power. And it allows us to minimize the power that other people or temporary situations can have over our lives, because that is the reality. People do not have power over us. Situations do not have power over us completely. We still have power over our lives, although that can be diminished and although that can be limited, there is still some power that is in our hands. And so having God allows us to give over ourselves to God and to rest in His power, because we don't have that power ourselves. So we rest and we lean on His power. and that allows us to be more relaxed. The third thing is that we are dependent. As human beings, we depend on other people for our needs. We can meet some of our needs, but we can't meet every one of our needs. We need other people to. We need family, we need friends, we need a partner, we need children. We can't meet our needs by ourselves. And so we are dependent. All human beings are dependent. And not only are we dependent on other human beings, but we're also dependent on God. And allowing yourself to be dependent on God allows you to be in your reality. When you have a need for something, you go back to the person who controls all affairs, and you allow yourself to depend on God and not do everything yourself. When you understand that you're dependent on God, you will behave in certain ways. You pray, you might live with hope. There's just a different way that you will behave when you believe and depend on God. When you don't depend on God, you take on all the responsibility and you try to do everything yourself. And having God allows God to meet your needs. If you imagine it, everyone has an empty cup, and everyone goes with their empty cup to another human being for it to be filled. But human beings can't completely meet our needs, and human beings can't complete us. The only thing that can complete us fully is God. And so our begging bowl or our empty cup is given to God for God to fill it. And so that is one of the benefits of believing in God, is that human beings can never fill our cups completely. They will disappoint us, they will let us down, they will change, they will want things that might compromise us. So it's not fixed and it's not stable. And human beings can't provide us with that level of stability. Whereas when you depend on God, God can actually give you that stability. God can fill your needs without asking for anything in return, without asking you to do something that will hurt you. And so allowing God to fill your cup means that you can actually walk with a full cup. Whereas when you are dependent on other human beings, you're still empty. You'll never be met fully, and your cup will never be filled fully. Because when they fill your cup, you're also filling their cup, or you're also giving. And that means that give and take means that you, at times you will be filled, and then you'll be giving back to other people, to them. And so when you depend on God, you allow yourself to be filled completely. And so these are just, so what I wanted to mention in today's video is the benefit of having God in your life. When you don't have God in your life, your life is empty. And that cup is even more empty, because human beings can never fill that gap that God can fill. You don't have a caretaker or someone in a parent role for you. Even if you might have parents, but as an adult, you don't have the person who can take on that burden of responsibility for your affairs. And you don't have something to hold on to. And you don't allow yourself to lean on something more powerful than you, or more powerful than the problem itself. When you have God, you can lean on someone more powerful than yourself and the problem and the people and the world. So this is just a nice reminder for ourselves of what role God plays in our lives when we believe in Him.